It is my honor to welcome our keynote. Nikhil Viswanathan, a Forbes 30 under 30, is the co-founder of Alchemy. And he is going to share with us his amazing journey as a founder and how he was able to take a Web3 company to getting its TiEcon status in a short stint of 16 months. Please put your hands together for Nikhil Viswanathan.
All right. Thank you so much, Ben, Kirthika, everyone, for having me here. We're going to do the talk here, so if you guys on the corner, you're welcome to move here. These people paid extra for their VIP seats. You might be able to snag one. Feel free to talk feel free to walk while I'm talking. All right. This is typically a kind of hour-and-a-half talk that I gave at Stanford, Harvard, and MIT. I'm going to try to condense it into like 15 minutes to tell you guys a little bit about the backstory about Alchemy. Really quickly, how many of you have heard about Alchemy before this? Okay. Is anybody building on us? All right, we got a few builders. How many people run their own company right now? Or how many people want to run their own company if you're not? All right. And how many people are interested in doing something in the crypto space? All right, pretty good number. Sweet. So let's see, already a minute in, so we got 14 more minutes. The whole point of today is to tell you a little bit about the behind-the-scenes story, right? And before we start, a little bit about Alchemy, what we do. So, you can't really see this, but there's 3 big shifts in technology in the last 100 years: computer, internet, and Web3. Each one of them formed in a similar way, where you had some kind of underlying protocol or technology. For the computer, that was your RAM, your CPU, your hard drive. But in order to actually build applications which bring that technology to the world, so for us, we think about computers as Excel, Word, Chrome, these kind of things. You needed this platform layer, which we call a developer platform. And for the computer, that was your Windows and Mac, your operating system. And what that does is it lets people build apps, so more users come, so then more developers come and build apps, so more users, and so on and so forth. And it spins the cycle of the industry. In the internet, you have a similar company that powers these internet behind the scenes that you've heard of that you never heard of. It's called Amazon. Amazon has 2 businesses. One of them is a shopping business where you buy things. The second one is Amazon Web Services. And what Amazon Web Services does is anytime you open Uber, Airbnb, DoorDash, it's powering the computers behind all of that. And the crazy part is, in 2021, AWS, or Amazon Web Services, was 75% of Amazon's profits. 25% was the retail business. Last year, 100% of their money they made in profits was from AWS, and the retail business lost money. So Amazon is effectively a compute company. And Alchemy we are that for the Web3 industry. Basically, we let people build apps. So everything from in NFTs you might have seen on OpenSea, or Shopify, or these other places, to kind of hardcore decentralized finance products. So, and why is this important, right? Like this little layer right here, this developer platform layer, there are thousands of different technology companies. There's actually 250 million companies in the world. These are just 3 of them. However, these are also the 3 most valuable companies on the planet, right? Not that money is a measure of all success, but it is a proxy for the scale of impact you have in the world. And the reason that we're really excited about this is if Web3 becomes even a fraction of the size of the internet, we have a chance to have like a really large positive impact across the globe. All right, I'm gonna blow through most of these slides pretty quickly. Pretty large scale. We do $100 billion in transactions annually, tens of millions of people around the world, power all major NFTs, like a lot of these brands you might know, you might notice, and powering technology behind that. This was the TechCrunch headline. We blew past this kind of crazy milestone of public launch to $10 billion in 16 months. But the whole, and a couple of quotes from some of our investors, it's just like insane growth, fast growing company we've ever seen. These are 3 graphs from our investors that showed kind of revenue growth, how well your customers stick in terms of net retention, how much it costs to acquire customers. They said companies are never on more than one of these graphs. Alchemy was on every single one, outlier in every single one, right? And the last kind of stat I'll throw out is when we did our $10 billion round, most companies are 2,000, 5,000 people. We were 37 people, right? So probably one of the highest team to impact ratios. And thank you. And why am I saying this, right? I'm not here to kind of try to impress you guys. I'm saying this stuff to impress upon you that this is the press story that you see, but the story that I'm going to tell you today is the behind the scenes, the 10 years of how we worked on this. And one of the things that my co-founder Joe and I said is whenever we quote make it, which is funny because now I don't even feel like we're close to making it, is we will come and tell the true story for behind the scenes. So here we go, 10 minutes. The start to finish, it's been about 10 years, actually now about 11 years, but you'll see it was not a straight path. It was not clear that this was going to be anything, and a lot of people thought we were crazy through it. So origin story, grew up in Lubbock, Texas. Anybody heard of Lubbock? Yeah, a couple people, wow, I'm impressed. Most people, this is like never. Came to Stanford, did my undergrad and grad in artificial intelligence. It was absolute best time of my life. This is my freshman dorm. Still very, very close to these people. This is when you jump in the fountains first day of school. And this will come back. There's a reason I posted this. The guy next to me is my roommate from college. He's like this super goofy 7-foot tall guy, twin brother, plays on the Cavs, if anybody knows. And we're still very, very good friends. During my summers in college, I ended up doing big company internships. I knew I wanted to do startup stuff, but very funny stories, I'll save it for another time. Ended up being product management at Microsoft, Facebook, and Google. But the really interesting things here was somehow ended up hanging out with the execs. So at Google, I would hang out with Larry, have meetings with Larry and hang out with Sergey. At Facebook, there's one desk next to Mark, and it happened to be my desk. At Microsoft, there ended up hanging out with the CEO, Steve Ballmer, and getting him to come to Stanford to come speak. This was the speaker series that we ran at Stanford. Actually, quick story about this. It was basically the kind of premier technology speaker series in the world called Entrepreneurial Thought Leader Seminar. This guy right here is now actually founded the crypto fund at Andreessen Horowitz and did our Series C round, which was a really cool kind of full circle moment. We ran the class together. That's Steve Ballmer. And we always said one day when we make it, we'll come and tell the story. Like I said, I don't feel like we've made it in any form, but I actually got to go tell the story there, speak there in February. So that was really cool. And I think the biggest takeaway, one of the things I'll try to do through this is sprinkle in some lessons. The biggest takeaway that I had from kind of meeting these people, people who have like shaped the world as we know it today, was they were just human. They're super smart, very driven, work really hard, but if they can do it, I can do it, and we can all do it. So, I think we lost audio, but all right. So the second thing was built a bunch of random stuff built a bunch of random stuff through college, a bunch of random websites. This is a Dropbox folder of like 75 plus products I built. There was a bunch more, I just couldn't even find them. And the other thing that I kind of realized from talking to these people, I remember one time I was playing chess with Mark Zuckerberg, and basically I was like, Mark, did you know Facebook was gonna be the thing? And he said, no, man, we built like 9 products before Facebook. We thought this kind of file sharing thing called Wirehog was gonna be really big. And it really just struck me. Most people who built really great things had no idea that that one was going to be the big one, but they were very prolific. So built a kind of product for fun. It was an events calendar. It basically showed you all the events that were going on at Stanford. Ended up blowing up, going to a bunch of other colleges. It was a really, really tough moment for me because I didn't listen to my friends. I didn't listen to advisors. Just started working with a bunch of friends, and basically it totally like blew up because we didn't get along. And that was like the really, really big lesson for me was the most important decision is your co-founder, like full stop, period. And I don't have time to tell a story today, but I literally get to work with probably like the best human in the world, my co-founder Joe. We met because we were teaching assistants, teaching database class at Stanford together. So fast forward to graduation. Graduated, this was Wacky Walk. So I tried to throw in a bunch of photos because whenever I listen to talks, I always really like the photos. Can we turn the volume down just a little bit on this? So basically, a little bit up. All right, perfect. So basically, you dress up in costume for your senior graduation. We basically built this like transformer from cardboard that we found in the trash, stayed up all night and found some spray paint and built this. Kind of just another example, we just like building stuff. Graduated, didn't apply for any jobs, told Mark, hey, I'm not gonna join. They did an amazing job recruiting, learned so much from them, and they're like, look, we'll pay you $1 gajillion, and you run this team and do all these things. And I was like, no, you know what? There's just no opportunity cost. There's no amount of money you could pay me to kind of give up on the opportunity cost of doing my own journey. So thought about this, and basically I realized, look, you have one shot in life. You don't get multiple chances, religion, reincarnation aside, right? So like, how do you really have a big impact? The way I measure that impact is on 2 axes. Your x-axis is how many people's lives do you touch, and your y-axis is like how deeply do you improve their life every day. Area under that curve is your impact on the world. right? So never before in human history can you do this on a magic metal box and build something everyone on the planet used. But now you can. You have software, you have internet, apparently we have a virus. But basically, you have this really, really incredible chance to impact lives across the world. And you've seen companies like Facebook and Google and Amazon and Microsoft, like that is what shapes our world today, right? And so had started this company and wanted to do like kind of life coaching, but wanted to do in software. And then graduated, lived in this house. I didn't realize it at the time, but Yahoo and Stripe were started out of this house. And now both as Jerry and Patrick and John are like friends, investors and stuff. So, but it was kind of a cool experience. We lived out of there. And now we just go build a company. Like how hard could it be, right? First, hit rock bottom. And I feel like everyone I've talked to who's done like something really great has had some version of this. For me, this was graduating college. I was 6 months out of school, 1 block off campus, temporally and spatially really close to where I was before. But had this like massive like missed all my friends, was super lonely, broke up with a long-term girlfriend, shut down, like decided it wasn't working out with the co-founder I was working with, shut down company, and I was like, oof, like this is not how it's planned. It's supposed to be like the next Facebook, and like here we are, right? And then kind of had this realization that, in kind of like one of my philosophies is anytime you have something really bad happen, in the short term, I'm like, hey, maybe it's good because this. In the long term, I'm like, okay, this is like the best thing to ever happen, right? And I really look at this, and going back to this photo, it's like, why was I so happy in college? And like the answer is like the number one thing that kind of determines your happiness is the people you're around. Like, what if you could always feel like you had this experience in your life, your freshman dorm? And that was the vision. We said, we want to do this, and that's how you maximize axes, help people have their friends in their life, and do this for everyone on the planet. And we're like, all right, let's do it. So I reunited with my co-founder, Joe. We built a bunch of stuff. So we built a bunch of apps to kind of make it feel like you live with your friends. We built a lot of things, like a lot of products, right? This is also where we learned the hustle. We would dress up as Berkeley students and go to Berkeley and do user testing. This is us like pretending to be students. And over 4 years, we built like 12 products. And basically nothing worked, right? We basically had nothing to show. Joe and I were living out of our apartment. We were working out of our apartment. We were not taking salary. It was all our friends are getting married, buying houses, like having kids, like all this stuff. We're just kind of living this like college student dorm life still. But it was always a blast. It was always like super fun. These are just some random photos I pulled up. But I think that was one of the key things that I realized, and I'll talk about a bit later. And then we're like, you know what? Let's try one more app. Like, what if it was just like, we just want to hang out with our friends, and what if you just press a button and see who's free? And we built this app, starts blowing up. We've never had anyone use our stuff, like ever, for anything we built. And then, we're like number 18 on the App Store. That's like insane. And then we have this like massive smear campaign. Everyone deletes the app. It was like this whole crazy thing from some competitor. But you know what? We're like, whatever, we'll keep going. And then we finally have our first overnight success. So this is about 7 years out of undergrad, 5 years out of grad school. Everyone's like, you're a failure. And then suddenly, oh my gosh, you guys killed it. #1 app in the App Store and social. Millions of people around the world using it. Open it one day and see like above Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp, Pinterest, Snapchat. It was actually a surreal experience, right? New York Times, it was actually a funny story. New York Times came and wanted to do a story. We're like, no, we don't want press, we don't want press. And then they were just like, look, just do it. And we're like, okay, because the smear campaign. I was like, guys, okay, let me tell you how this is gonna go. You can write whatever you want, but just make me look attractive because I'm single, right? 3 days of photo shoots. This is the photo they picked. It's like food falling out of my mouth. We had so many good ones. It's like, guys, what? And then that's front page of the New York Times business section. So cool story there. So that was another lesson. Press does not care what you look like. In fact, they want you to look the worst, and they will chop clips to make you look bad. So if you're doing press, get used to it. So 2017 happens, right? We see this big shift, and it was really interesting. One of these, there was a guy downstairs, these guys building this crypto company. We would hang out together, party together a lot, and they kind of really got excited about crypto. Another person, Ben, in the corner, was one of the people who was like super instrumental to getting us into crypto, and very grateful to him for that. Basically, there was like 3 big shifts in technology. Computers, the idea that machines can follow instructions. Internet, machines can exchange information. And we saw, wow, this is like the next big shift in technology. So basically, we're like, all right, this is a core kind of technological change that only happens once every 20, 30 years. We have a chance to build something really massive, and that's when you can build like an Amazon, a Google, Microsoft, Apple-sized company. So I have like 2 minutes, so I'm gonna like speed through this stuff. every kind of 20-ish years, you see kind of one of these technology shifts, and that's when one of the great companies were born. So Apple, Microsoft were in 1975, 1976. Internet had Amazon and Google 20 years later. 20 years later, hopefully we can have a similar size impact. So these were some of the photos. This was our loft. We put whiteboards everywhere. Joe and I worked on it. This is brainstorming. This was kind of like, this was not actually the mock. This was some piece of scratch paper. It was the only one I could find, so just put that on there. And the first product we built was kind of this like hedge fund machine learning data science platform for investors to invest in crypto. This was the kind of a first screenshot of the software we built. I have to remind our team, Joe and I know how to code. We built all of our early infrastructure. Now people are like, you know how to code? I was like, yeah. So one of the things also, I just put some funny random images. Like, we always had a good time, right? And like, this is Joe. He's like, mozzarella sticks are like cardio. It's like hard on your heart, so it makes your heart stronger. This was our loft. We used to work out. This is Joe sitting there, and this Angelina has been with us for 7 years. And we had this big realization, right? The big realization came when we said, look, now it's so difficult to build in Web3. If Web3 is going to happen, we need to make it really easy to build. So that was kind of the key insight. And then that's where this diagram came from. But it was too early because the space didn't have enough products that people are actually using. So basically what we did is, we started building our product. We moved into our new office. I think this video is not loading. We don't have access. It's a very exclusive video. And basically, we sold, before we built anything, we sold $500,000 of our software, right? And we're like, oh my God, I'd never made a penny my entire adult life, right? The last money I made was in 6th grade. I set up a lemonade stand, a popsicle stand on the golf course. And then finally, 8 years out of college, we made some money, right? So we're like, we made it. And then the question is, do we have product market fit? And the answer is no. And I'm going to skip this for today. I'm happy to talk about it later. I can send you guys a link to the other talk of why we didn't have it. But then we were like, all right, now is time. The 16 pivot, we need to build the developer platform. So we emailed 50 customers. We built the first product. It should have taken 9 months. We built it in a week and a half because we said speed is the most important thing. Joe has this great quote, the big don't eat the small, the fast eat the slow. So this was our very first customer ever. CryptoPunks was a random side project. Now it's like the top NFT, which is crazy. And speed really was what helped us win, right? So Mike and Joe went to DevCon in Prague, this conference, hustled everyone to build stuff or to use our product. We would have Telegram groups where we helped customers. This is Joe and I literally moving apartments, and we were like responding to customers as we were moving. We were too cheap to hire movers. And these were our first users. OpenSea, which is now a $13 billion company, Dapper Labs, roughly $8 billion company, CryptoKitties. But back then, they were just random side projects, like small little things, right? So we built. So this is December 2020. I'm 10 years out of undergrad, 8 years working at a startup, basically nothing to show. This company had come to buy us for the 3rd time. They're like, you can just make infinite money. And I was like, no, we were having so much fun. And if crypto becomes a big thing, it might take several years, but it becomes a big thing, we can have a really big impact. 2021 happens, January. We thought crypto would take 2 to 3 years to take off, maybe 5 to 10 years. Took 30 days. We were 13 people, no recruiter, no sales, no marketing, $0 in customer acquisition. I'm 10 years out of undergrad, 10 years out of undergrad, 8 years out of grad school, nothing to show, right? We've basically made no money. January, crypto starts taking off. The companies were at $72 million. February, we did around at $500 million. Everyone was like, oh, it's so expensive. September, and I was like, you guys got to steal. September, we did around at $3.5 billion. We hadn't even touched any of the other cash. And just 55 days later, we did around at $10 billion, right? And the company was growing like ultra quickly. This was a team at the time. This was the entire company. I think there's like 1 or 2 more people that were not there, but that was basically the entire company. And then I think the final thing to say is like, be a cockroach, right? This was one of our investors. He was like, you guys were just like cockroaches that never gave up and quit, never quit. And I think he meant it in a persistence way, not like looks or smell or anything like that. But I'm going to end here because I'm out of time. But basically, like we have a very simple goal, 2 goals. Improve life for everyone on the planet, which sounds crazy, but I think we really have a big opportunity to do that, and then have a blast while we're doing it. And I think that's the most important lesson. If you take nothing away, the thing, everyone's like, why did you keep going? I was like, because it was so fun. Like, what would I do with a ton of money? Like, nothing else different, right? Except I would just make all my friends live together with me. So it's always been a blast. I'll flip through these slides. These are just some of the funny times that we've had together. With the team, and just like so much love from the team. I think the thing I'm most proud of is everyone on the team coming and saying it's not just the best kind of workplace in my life, it's the best friends I've ever had. And then, the last thing is Web3 is, everyone's like, Web3 is dead. this is developer activity over the crash, right? Over the last year and a half. So it's been a really, really incredible time. It's just getting started. And if you guys remember nothing, remember this. Everyone scoffs at new technologies. The more people ask you, is crypto dead? You should get more excited because that means there's more of an opportunity and it hasn't been discovered yet. So with that, we're just getting started also. We have such a long journey ahead and it's just day one. So thank you. All right.